Now we've all played the common household game, Crash Bandicoot. However, few of us have ever stopped to think about the real issues behind the game, of the impact of urbanisation on native animals, such as the Australian bandicoot. In this short documentary, we'll explore this topic and show you what is really causing this bandicoot to crash.
So bandicoots are small nocturnal mammals, and the key to understanding bandicoots is their feeding technique. So they find food by digging small holes.
When you think of native Australian animals, you probably think of the kangaroo, the emu, or maybe even the platypus. But what a lot of people don't realise is that in southeast Queensland and in Brisbane there are a number of unique and interesting marsupials, such as the bandicoot. Now, what we found here is what seems to be a freshly dug burrow from what appears to be the northern brown bandicoot. And this is the sort of habitat in which they would reside.
So bandicoots specialise in finding food underground, and that's really key to understanding why bandicoots are important in ecosystem functions and so on. In terms of mammals, they're really quite specialised in the way they feed, so there's really no great species that can easily replace them.
They act as predators on smaller, lower trophic organisms, such as insects and lizards. Bandicoots have thrived throughout history, until the colonisation of humans, where bandicoots were forced to cohabit with humans in a lifestyle vastly different to what they were used to. Let's see what the experts have to say on the issue.
So as I mentioned earlier, around the southern and southeastern parts of Australia have been the places where bandicoots have declined most dramatically. And urbanisation is perhaps one of the most fundamental ways in which humans can transform the landscape. It often involves paving over huge areas, so 80% of the area will now be under concrete and so on. This is massive habitat change. You get complete destruction of what was there before, and there may be parklands and so on put in, which are generally composed of non-native species, and they're not really functioning ecosystems. So urbanisation is a really persistent and highly transforming mode of habitat change. Perhaps some of the biggest threats, aside from the habitat loss, assuming that there are remnant patches of habitat available within a city, perhaps the biggest threats to bandicoots by urbanisation are predation by particularly cats and dogs within urban environments. So while many of the natural predators of bandicoots may now be quite rare, a lot of the artificial predators, so cats, dogs, foxes, that are associated with human settlement are now very common in urban areas. So predation by household pets and so on can be an important factor in bandicoot population declines.
It is clear that the negative impact of urbanisation on native animals, such as the Australian bandicoot, is an important issue facing our society. Experts agree that the native bandicoot is extremely important in native ecosystems, and thus it is important that we maintain their populations and environment. Considering this, it is vital that we achieve an ecologically sustainable solution so that both species can co-inhabit the same area successfully, which is what the late Crash Bandicoot secretly wanted all along.